turn on his camera. He should also be around. Yeah. So we are formally starting the session. Mr. Shripal Jain. And students can keep joining in. Am I audible, Mr. Jain?
Yes, ma'am. So I'm just sharing my screen. Let me know if you're able to see the screen.
Okay, we can, because we will be recording the session. This will be recorded on the college website.
Sure, so I'll begin. A very warm welcome to everyone present. Firstly, happiest Independence Day to one and all present. So this day literally marks a very significant achievement of our nation, and to celebrate it, we present to you a very special session. Before we start, it is assumed that your consent has been given to record this meeting and post it on various social media platforms. Good evening, everyone. I, Nishkar Srivastav, on behalf of Kirodimal College, welcome you to this session that would teach us about the rise of fintechs as well as the digital transformation of the Indian banking system. Today, joining us, we have our staff coordinator, Dr. Seema Joshi, our president, Rachit Kaur, and Shripal Kumar. So I request Seema Joshi, ma'am, to give the welcome note. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Nishkarsh. At the outset, I'll be taking this opportunity to welcome our honorable guest, Mr. Shripal Jain, office bearers of FIC Kirodimal College, and all the participants. It's a proud moment for all of us that today we are celebrating 75th year of India's independence. We all are designing various activities in our own ways to celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, an initiative of the Government of India to celebrate and commemorate 75 years of progressive India and the glorious history of its people, culture, and achievements. As our Honorable Prime Minister said in his recent address, that the celebrations can be divided in 5 subheads: freedom struggle, ideas at 75, achievements at 75, actions at 75, and resolve at 75. We at Finance and Investment Cell Kirodimal College decided to decipher achievements of India at 75 years by launching a live speaker session series. Session 1 on India's achievements at 75 is on the topic, the rise of fintechs and the digital transformation of India's banking system. Friends, all of you know that fintech has already caused a revolution by leveraging the latest technological innovations like blockchains and artificial intelligence. And fintech startups like Paytm, PayU, ET Money, Policy Bazaar, etc. have begun to disrupt the financial services industry in several forms. And so far as fintech startups are concerned, they have risen to the challenges posed by COVID-19 by offering consumers digital, secure, seamless user experiences. And they are also trying to expand access and provide safety, convenience, and efficiency the financial products and services at very low cost. The perception of consumers stands changed today, and they are ready to embrace fintechs into their daily lives. Recently, Tata Sons chairman N. Chandrasekaran has painted a very rosy picture of future technologies in India when he said at ISB that India is having the human capital, the scale, the market, and therefore carries a huge potential to be a global leader in future technologies, products, and services over the next decade in the post-pandemic era. Given this background, it is highly relevant to decipher the rise of fintechs and the digital transformation of India's banking industry. But some of us are grappling with certain questions in our minds. For example, the questions are, what is the state of fintechs in India? How does the future of fintech looks like? Will artificial intelligence become the key for fintech in the future? What are the risks and opportunities for India's economy? With this context in mind, I invite our honorable guest speaker, Mr. Sripal Jain, to inform our understanding of these issues so that actions at 75 years can be planned accordingly. I look forward to an interactive session over the next 1 hour. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that address, ma'am. Next, I'd request someone very special who we admire a lot in the finance and investment cell of Kirori Mal College to come up on the stage. His name is Rachit Kaur, so I request Rachit to take over and give us a welcome note.
Good evening, one and all present here. I am Rachit Kumar, currently acting as the President of Finance and Investment Cell, Kirori College. FIC was established as a student-driven initiative to facilitate knowledge on matters of finance and provide a deeper insight into the field of financial sector, with a belief that financial literacy is very important in this highly competitive world, and strive to provide the same to the students. I would like to give a brief account of achievements which FIC has achievements of FIC, which was established in 2016, and the Department of Commerce was given the responsibility to nurture the society. After 2 years of establishment, the FIC team had several firsts to its credit. In the academic session 2017-18, FIC team organized 5 major programs comprising of a regional seminar by SEBI and its partners like ICICI and NSDL. NSDL, Investor Depository Meet by NSDL, that is first and the largest depository of India. Organization of 2 field visits to SEBI and NSE offices in New Delhi and several other special lectures on topical issues, including the one by Dr. S.P. Sharma way back in 2018 when he visited our KMC campus and addressed students on blockchains and cryptocurrencies. The journey of FIC's growth and progression is going on. Recently, on 10th August, a speaker session on the topic Dynamics of Economic Recovery in the Pandemic Time was organized. Today, we are holding a session on the topic The Rise of FinTech and the Digital Transformation of India's Banking System by Sripal Jain. We had to move digital despite all these difficulties in the session 2020-21. We have been bullish for the cell as we have experienced an upward sloping graph without any recessions on our way. FIC partnered with Bombay Stock Exchange Institute to host the first online webinar of previous session to give students an insight into the world of stock market, and all other sessions were conducted in the same manner. The finance and investment cells will always continue to impart knowledge to members and will also strive harder to host mind-blowing events for its participants. Over to Mr.
Once again, thank you for that address, Rachit. Finally, it's an honor to introduce our guest for the evening. No words can match up to his caliber, Sripal Jain. He is the co-founder of Seemadhar Education. He is awarded the Best Edupreneur of Telangana State in the year of 2018. He holds a CA and CPA USA qualification. He has industry experience of over 7 years in audit, corporate finance, IFRS. He is a national instructor at one of the leading training institutes in India. Sripal has addressed over 350 participants in Reliance Industries and Geo on future of finance topics covering blockchain, AI, IoT, and he is a frequent speaker at various corporates like Microsoft, Amazon, Infosys, DE Shop, etc. So I request Mr. Sripal to come up on the stage and introduce us to the topic we have to discuss today.
I'm just presenting my screen. Just let me know if you're able to see the screen.
Yes, we can see your screen, Mr. Supra.
Yeah. So first of all, it's an absolute pleasure to be with so many folks. And before I start my session, wish you a very, very happy Independence Day to everyone. And it's an absolute delight to be talking to you on this day, because there are so many things which the Indian banks have been doing. And that's where it's important that as a student, you guys know what is the technologies which are actually supporting the banks, at the same time disrupting some of the Indian banks as well. And today I'll be taking across all those things which are actually very important from the banking perspective to each and every one, right? So the entire theme is not only on the rise of fintech and the risk and opportunities, but also to understand the banking system as well, and how they have been transforming through certain years, right? And that's where I'd be taking care. And this the kind of thing. So unfolding in fintech, right? So what is fintech? What is a brief history of fintech? Other fintech trends in Indian banks, challenges of fintech, and opportunities of fintech. So these are certain things which I'll be covering up, right? So before I start with what is fintech, and also I want to be a little interactive so that I know the people are participating when I'm taking the session, right? So just wanted to know, what are your ideas on fintech? So what do you understand by fintech? Because see, we want to see how it kinds of goes off. So what's your knowledge on this particular subject is very important for me, because the PPT I've just presented it just for everyone's benefit, right? Because people are attracted more towards PPT, and that's where I've just prepared that. But the session I want it to be is really interactive, so that I understand what is your knowledge on that particular thing, and that's where we could learn through each other, right? So the first question is, what is fintech? So anyone who would like to take it up, and someone who could monitor the answers as well in the chat window, as I'm not able to see some of the answers also.
I think Nishkarsh will take care of that.
Okay. Yes,
Yes,
guys.
ma'am.
So what do you think? What is fintech, guys? So what is your basic understanding? I would request everyone not to Google about this, right? So it would be good that if you answer it without checking Google and all. So what is your understanding on fintech? Yes, any answers so far?
So there are a few answers in the chat box. Irigia Kalra, she has been saying the name suggests combination of finance and technology.
Okay.
And Saubhagya Pratap Singh, he writes, providing financial services with the help of technology.
Okay. Anyone else?
Turn on your cameras and you can make the session more participative. I would
Yes, and we can unmute some of them so that they can talk as well, rather than.
let us make the session more, participative. I would request all of you, all the participants, please turn on your cameras. Nitin, Adish, Prabhu. We are not going to judge any one of you, Roshan, Radhika. So be relaxed. We have come here to learn new things. So this is my personal request to all of you. Yes, thank you very much, Mohit. Thanks for joining us. Please turn on your cameras.
Okay, so fintech is a technology used to describe new technology that seeks. Okay, Prabhu. Good. Thus, that's a good answer, Prabhu. Fintech is a technology used to describe new tech that seeks to improve and automate the delivery and the use of financial services. Okay. What about others? Yes.
Surbhi, yeah, Yuvraj, turn on your cameras.
And guys, just be pretty cool
Shubham,
about this, so you can answer anything. No one will judge you on your answers,
yeah.
right? So we just want to ensure that there is an interactive thing going on, because you also want to learn the subject more, right? It's just not about the presentation, but it's just about knowing the subject in a very good manner. And that's where I'm just asking few of them, so that, I mean, even if you're wrong, it's perfectly fine. Whatever you think, you can please put up in the chat window, right? No one is perfect, including me, right? We just want to know what is your thought process on the topics. So would request some more participation from you all.
Rachit.
Okay, so let me ask in another manner, rather than asking what is fintech. So where do you see technology in banks, guys? What are some of the examples of technology which you have been noticing in banks, which you have noticed practically? Any answers for this, everyone? I mean, no fintech, nothing doing with all those nomenclatures, right? So it's a simple thing. Where do you notice technology in banks? So did you have come across any of the technology? Uh,
We, uh, we,
when,
did, we have seen some new machines for cash deposits, as well as some great apps through which we can not even uh, pay, but also get something more of it. You get insurances, you can buy anything from the bank's app directly now.
okay, perfect. What about others?
Also, earlier we used to deposit our money with the cashier in the bank, but now we can deposit it with the help of uh, there is a ATM, the machine like ATM, which are established outside the bank, so we can deposit our money through online banking.
Okay. Yes, others, did you notice anything about the technology in the banks?
The KYC, I think, is also come after introducing Aadhaar card, in which anyone with the Aadhaar card can withdraw money from anywhere all over the India, irrespective of their banks or anything.
Okay. No, I mean, see, regarding ATM, right? I just want to clarify, right? So we are talking about automation, right? We are talking about more technology in place, rather than ATM looks like a physical machine, though it has inbuilt technology in it. But again, it's a physical machine. You need to go somewhere and deposit the amount. But anything which requires technology, right, which has technology, application of technology, that is something which we are talking about fintech, right? So now the same topic which I am discussing today is more of how the technology is used in the financial services area. So the best example what you notice today is, right, Paytm, right, a MobiQuick, a digital wallet, right? So previously we used to, like some of them, Rachit, Roshan, and even Saubhagya were talking about that. Now we don't need to go and physically visit a branch to transfer a money to someone else, because we have a digital wallet in place where you can use that wallet and make the payment. Now, so many Indian banks have been using apps, right? So today, whenever we open an account in SBI, HDFC, so we are having a net banking application as well. So how many of them are using the mobile banking applications on their mobile? Anyone who has a mobile banking application, or you visit the net banking and make the payment? So when you notice that,
ICICI Bank,
yes, yes. So today we see ICICI
Yono.
Direct, so for that matter, the stock market application, right? So that is also in the technology, which is quite integrated. So today, when I want to open a PPF account, a public provident fund account, or a DMAT account, right? So it's all very much integrated on my mobile. So it's just a click away, and I can kind of access to that. Even if you want to invest in mutual funds, you can do it via the mobile app. If you want to take an insurance policy, you can do it mobile app. Previously, there were so many documentation. Now the documentation have gone down significantly, or rather I would say substantially, because of the fintech, right? Because of the technology which is being used, right, across. And the technology is just not limited to desktop, but here when we are talking about, it's more about mobile app, right? Me not visiting any place and still able to transfer a lot of those things. And that's where we are talking about how these particular things are shaping up, right? And apart from Paytm, like some of them have said Razor Pay and other payment gateways also. So I would say that these are the technologies which are being used, right? And this technology is quite a bit automating a lot of things, because when we see in the fintech, we are actually analyzing. So like Seema ma'am have discussed about artificial intelligence, blockchain, whereby we are reading the habits of the consumers, where they are clicking, which website they are clicking. If you notice that, right? So whenever you're going on Facebook or YouTube or any place, the ads keeps coming, right, of the banks. So they are actually analyzing the consumers' habits, the consumers' behavior. And according to that, they are actually designing the algorithms, and they are knowing the spending patterns, right? So previously, the banks never used to do that. The typical traditional banking system was more towards a customer visiting the branch, opening the bank account, and then kind of having a collaboration. But nowadays, they are actually analyzing the spending habits of the consumer, right? And they're seeing that where these guys are spending, and according to that, the ads are being shown. Because end of the day, a bank's business is known by its customers. The more the customer opts for loans, the more the customer opts for various facilities from the banks, and that's how the business is transforming, or rather growing in the banks. Now, one very important thing, why technology is such a big mandate now in the banks, right? Apart from the normal mobile applications, now why is, like Seema ma'am was discussing about blockchain, artificial intelligence, now why this have become such a big mandate, right? So how many of them have heard about Punjab National Bank fraud? So do you know what have happened, guys, exactly in PNB? Yes, everyone. I'm not looking for exact how it kind of folded out or something like that, how that scam happened. But any idea on any one-liners on what happened exactly in Punjab National Bank? Everyone.
Actually, Nirav Modi used to get a letter of credits without any bank guarantees, and he used, instead of paying it in the due process, he used to get one big again one of a greater amount letter of credit, and he used to settle it by that without any bank guarantees.
Okay, what about others? Is guys anyone who is aware of the Punjab National Bank fraud? So how that banking fraud have occurred? So you're not looking for exact answers again. I just want to be more interactive so that you guys know what exactly was happening there. Okay, so I think except Rachit, no one knows about the fraud which have happened. It's a $1 billion fraud, right? So I was expecting you guys to at least know one or two things about that, but fair enough, not an issue. So what basically, yeah, someone who wants to contribute?
The SWIFT code of the bank was being shared by the employees with the, Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi.
Correct. So that's absolutely right what Seema ma'am is pointing out. So in the entire fraud, like Rachit have also said that the letter of credits were issued. So normally what happens whenever a bank, whenever a person or a customer wants to kind of open the bank account and rather transfer the funds to another place, he rather request the banks to kind of open an LC, letter of credit. So normally it is issued by one bank to another bank, which is a foreign bank. So if he wants to do transfer any of the foreign funds to his account for certain businesses which are operating outside India, typically letter of credit is like a guarantee, right? Against those guarantees, the banks lend the money, right? And those guarantees which were given were actually without any collateral, because normally when you're giving a loan, you would rather want a collateral or some sort of property, right, against which you can give loan. So no one will give you loan without any collaterals. And in case of Nirav Modi in Punjab National Bank, a lot of the letter of credits or the guarantees were issued without any collateral, right? And the person was continuously using the fund, and later, and that have happened actually due to the internal banking manager who kind of was involved in the entire thing, right, and who was bypassing the instructions, and the funds were actually transferred from one place to another, right, though there was a swift mechanism. So what is swift, guys? So it's like a message, internal a transfer message, that bank A has transferred money to bank B, and only bank B should know about the code. None of the other parties should know about the code. So what have happened in bank B's case is there is a manual person. So whenever there is a manual person, there's a lot of chances that the frauds will occur, because he might compromise the system at the end of the day. And through that, they actually raised a lot of LCs, and a lot of letter of undertakings were issued in favor of Nirav Modi, right? And he transferred a lot of his funds to his personal account, used it, and rather didn't make the payment to the Punjab National Bank, right? So now, how a technology could have actually solved the mess of this bank, right? So say a classical example is blockchain. Now what happens in blockchain, right? So if you see, the Indian government is talking a lot about blockchain. So we have Niti Aayog, right, so which is the think tank of the Indian government, which has been implementing a lot of ideas on blockchain and trying to bring the revolution of blockchain in various places, in land records and all. So I'll give you an example so that you understand how blockchain works, because we worked in Telangana government on some of the applications of blockchain in land records. So now what happens? So Mr. A, so if you see that there are a lot of illegal cases happens in land, right, where someone kind of takes up the land and there is no registration on that, right? So a lot of illegal registrations happen in land. So what this government have done in Hyderabad especially is the adoption of the blockchain technologies. So there are two people. Mr. A is buying, for an example, Mr. A buys land from Mr. B, right? And I just want to ensure that Mr. B is the legal owner of that land. He's the right owner of that land. So how do I check that? So there is a smart contract which is inbuilt with Mr. B, right? And all the parties to the loan are put it into the system. So now, if you want to take a loan against the land, right? So what all are the things you will do? So what will bank ask you, guys? So whenever you want to take a housing loan, you tell me what all are the documents banks will ask you. Yes, anyone? Just to kind of make this example interesting, what are the documents a bank will ask, and what are the things you will see when you buy a land? Guys,
registration
simple
of
question.
the land.
अगर आपको
Bank
जमीन
will
खरीदना
ask
है,
for
what are the things you will see? Yes, guys. Yeah, Roshan.
banks will ask if we want a loan. Banks will ask for a registry of the land or something like
Okay. So let me put up in this way. If you want to purchase a land, what you will try to do? What are those 5 things you will do to purchase a land?
real owner of the land.
Okay. So how do you check whether he's the real owner of the land or not? Come on, guys. You want to purchase a land. So what do you see? Tomorrow, if you will take a property, what all are the things you will do? Will you do a due diligence or not? Everyone, we will do a due diligence, right? So what all are the due diligence you will do when you purchase a property? Or rather, when your parents purchased it, did you notice what are the things they used to do it? Right, property papers, right? So the papers of the property is one thing. Okay, next, that's all. Will you only see the papers, the property papers, nothing else? Yes,
I want to ask legally or some other like location or other thing.
correct. So you will see the location, you will see the legality, you will see the price evaluation, what is the market price in that location, right? And next, anything others? on any answers, guys, on the chat window. I'm pretty fine, even if it's wrong. Tomorrow you guys will purchase a property. So what are all the things you
Water
will
and electricity facility.
meter and electricity? Okay. So now I'll tell you some of the big things which happens when you're purchasing a property. Right. The first thing is to check whether the property is in the name of Mr. A, and to check that you need to see that the property has some encumbrance or not. So first thing is you will need to check the encumbrance certificate. Is there any loan already within that property or something like that? Is there a charge or a loan? Right. That's the first thing. Second thing is it registered properly? Third, you might have to pay the broker also, because broker is the person who will arrange the documents for you. If not broker, you might purchase it directly. But normally the broker will kind of give you the link documents for last 10 years, 15 years, before that property was inherited, or rather some Mr. X have purchased and then transferred. So all those things you will see the property tax, because that is very important, whether that person have paid the property tax or not. So if you see that there are so many parties involved in a land transaction, right? This is where a blockchain technology helps. Now today, if I want to purchase a property, I need to get approval from the banks for the loan. Second thing is I need to get property tax department approval, whether property tax is paid or not. I need to get the registration done. Registration department is there. I need to check whether that there is an encumbrance against the property, there is a EC or not. So what happens in blockchain technology is it's a distributed technology. I mean, all the parties come on one place, right? And everyone approves that approves the transaction, and the transaction goes to the next place. What I'm telling is there is an entirely 5 people in the transaction, right? So now see this example with blockchain, right? So previously it was so manual. Now with blockchain, what happens? So Mr. A is buying property with Mr. B, and he executes a smart contract, right? And the transaction is shown to all of them in the party. So I am telling that land registration also will come into the technology domain, right? Property taxes will also come in the property domain. So a notification will go to property tax department, a notification will go to the land department, a notification will go to registry department, a notification will go to bankers. So all of them will approve the transaction. Finally, Mr. B will transfer the land to Mr. A. So what is happening with blockchain transaction? Blockchain is the transaction is rather spread out to 10 parties, and all the 10 parties should approve the transaction. Even if one party doesn't approve the transaction becomes invalid. Sir, why is it so important that everyone should approve? End of the day, I want to get the property free of charge, right? I don't want any charges or any illegal things on my property. I need to ensure all the documents are in order, all the approvals are in order. Is there any case or anything or any papers which are missing? So through blockchain, you have a mechanism where everyone is approving the transaction, where everyone is having their login ID, password, and all the parties in the transaction will approve it, and the transaction becomes approved, and end of the day, the property transfers in your name. Am I making sense, everyone? Are you able to understand how blockchain technology is being used in the land department? So this is one example. Now take the same example with Punjab National Bank. Had it been a distributed approval rather than one person, what would have happened in Punjab National Bank? Had there been an notification sent to the LC department, letter of credit department, a notification would have been sent to senior manager, associate manager. So one person cannot bypass the system in that case. In blockchain, what happens that the transaction is distributed among 10 owners. So all the 10, right, are there in the transaction. Till all the 10 doesn't approve, the transaction doesn't go to the next place. That is what is blockchain technology. And that's where the government, after Punjab National Bank fraud, lot of the banks like ICICI Bank, State Bank of India, everyone were trying to adopt and use a lot of blockchain revolution, artificial intelligence in their own banking system, so that the power is not at one hand. Sir, agar aisa ho gaya to pure 50 people are bad, then to I can't do, then to no technology can help. Ab sab all 50 log hi chor hai, to then we can't do anything, right? So the idea of the technology is to ensure that the power is not centralized, rather it is decentralized, so that one person doesn't have the power to bypass the system, like what have happened in Punjab National Bank. Now, same case with land example. See that the power is not just with the land department, it is rather spread out across all the departments, property tax, land department, registration, records, and encumbrance certificate department. So everyone needs to approve the transaction. Till they don't approve, the property cannot be transferred from Mr. A to Mr. B. So all the people in the party in the transaction should approve that. And that's how Bitcoin works. So how many of them have heard about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency? Are you aware of Bitcoin, Ethereum? Anyone who have heard about this anytime, the cryptocurrency?
Yes.
Yes. So what is a cryptocurrency? It works on the same mechanism. Your transaction is rather displayed across 1,000 people. They mine that, and after the mining, the rather that money gets transferred, or rather that Bitcoin is generated. So that is how the cryptocurrency works. So cryptocurrency works on a blockchain platform, on a decentralized platform. So today, what you're doing with Paytm is it's as good as the Paytm app is as good as Bitcoin, right? So you're rather, it's just that it is using a wallet and your identity is known. In Bitcoin, you don't know who have transferred you money, right? He will just tell you that, hey, I give you a Bitcoin. So in Bitcoin, what happens? There's no intermediaries, right? The money is transferred from one place to another. There are no agents. So previously, when you used to go to foreign or somewhere, right, if you want to kind of make the remittances outside, there are a lot of transaction fees, and they are in billions, guys. The transaction charges are in billions. So to avoid those all transaction charges, a cryptocurrency can come into the picture. You don't need to go to an agent. You rather transfer from one place to another, right, directly through a Bitcoin. So through an internet system, you're transferring money. So that is nothing but your cryptocurrency, and that is also being kind of used now more. India is doing a lot of research on that. So we are already trying to talk about Lakshmi coin, which will be introduced by Reserve Bank of India. So the opportunities are tremendous. Actually, if you see the revolution which we have gone through after the frauds which have happened after Punjab National Bank, and I am telling you the blockchain technology, I mean the revolution, I've just given you one example in a layman terms to understand how blockchain works, right? So now that application is going more bigger and softer. I have not even gone through the second PPT till now. I'm so sorry actually. But I hope you guys are following the examples what we are talking about, right? So this is very, very important because tomorrow you will see technology playing a bigger role, not only in the banking sector. Tomorrow when you go into the jobs also, you tell, hey, I don't know blockchain. I really don't understand what this guy is talking about. I mean, you will be facing severe problems in your jobs also. Because today the finance team, the accounting team, the HR team, the marketing team, everyone need to understand the pulse of data analytics, blockchain, artificial intelligence. These are very, very important technologies which are actually revolutionizing the platforms, right? And now the companies are actually using it more, right? You might see a lot of the mobile apps which are already into the extensive practice, the algorithms which are being used. So that's where it is very important that you understand how the technology functions first. And that is where we are actually talking about blockchain, right? And I've given one example of blockchain. There are several case laws related to that, right? So if you see that a brief history of fintech, is everyone able to see the screen?
Yes.
So 1982, the world was introduced to Trade Plus, right? That's the online brokerage platform. 2002, the first online banking website was introduced by Stanford Federal Credit Union. That's how the fintech have gone through, right? Fintech is nothing but you're using technology in financial services. Previously, you used to do manually. Now you're using through a technology like Bitcoin was the first one. 2009, it was introduced. Just through a coin, you can transfer the money, right? Previously, you used to go do a lot of transaction charges and all those things you need to pay to the banks and all. Now, just through a Bitcoin, you can transfer money to any part in the world. I'm not talking about only in India. You can transfer the money across any place in the world, right? 2013, Google Pay was first launched, followed by Apple Pay in 2014. 2019, digital-only banks like N26 creates industry disruption. So now we are into a complete technology revolution which is happening up. Now, what is the future of fintech, right? So NASSCOM predicts that India's fintech software market alone could touch $3.6 billion by 2021. So now what are those fintech services today which we are using on digital platform? Like many of them were telling payment services like MobiKwik, Paytm, you're transferring the payments over the web. And all these platforms are integrated with the banks, guys. Today, a lot of the banks accept Paytms, MobiKwiks and all if you want to transfer certain money to X So from Paytm, your money goes to your to your normal bank account. That means there is some sort of integration which is there, right? Then you have remittance services, like few startup ventures are but registered abroad are trying to address the gap in remittance transactions. Instagram, FX, Remitly, right? Then you have personal finance or retail investment services like Policy Bazaar, Bank Bazaar. You might have heard a lot about this. A lot of mails come from Policy Bazaar, Bank Bazaar, right? So these are the ones who are actually using the technology to understand the customer's behavior and telling you, okay, please take the policy. And you might get a lot of calls also. So you might be wondering, how do they get the data also? Because it's end of the day, everything is dependent on data, right? Then you have the equity funding services. This includes the crowdfunding platforms that enable the funding of the project, right? Then you have cryptocurrency. As you might have already seen, Lakshmi coin is coming up very soon in India, but previously we already had Unocoin, Coin Secure. So where the cash transactions though dominates in India, but we are using, after the demonetization, people are now, a lot of them are using digital way. They are simply transferring the money via Paytm and all those sort of things. Previously we never used to use so much of app, but now after the demonetization thing, or the government have taken the step, it have rather forced people to use technology now. So now you see that many of them, I mean, I can see that after demonetization, the cash transactions have substantially depreciated or rather declined over the period, right? Now many of them use Paytm, many of them use mobile apps and transfer their money. So that's how the technology has been transforming, right? So what is the scope for growth of fintech? So fintech service firms are currently redefining the way the companies and consumers conduct their transactions daily. So if you see that in India, the global investment has been much smaller, but a similar growth rate, the investment in India's fintech industry grew 282%. That's what Seema ma'am was talking about, is there is substantial investment which is going on in India. So many funding is going on, right? And there's a reason why Alibaba have invested in Paytm. And if you see, Alibaba is like Walmart, right? So it's all as good as Amazon of China. So they are investing in Paytm in India. And if you see that Paytm is like, it's growing like anything, because there are a lot of FIIs, foreign institutional investors, who are actually taking up stake in small startups, fintech startups. And if you see that industry of fintech is almost grew 282%. So that's a huge upside, right? The investment, if you see in fintech in India, it was $38 million, then $145 million, and now we are at $450 million. And there's so many. And with this, there are a lot of jobs also in our country, right? The more the fintech firms are coming up, the more they are aligning with the banks, the more the jobs are also there. It's not that with technology, the jobs reduces. No, because you want a person to understand the technology also, right? So it's just that the consumer experience have grown nicely. Previously, when we used to take a loan in India, like 10 years back, it used to take 3 years, 3 years. I am telling you, it used to take 3-4 months, or sometimes 7 months also. Now, if you see, the average time taken out to process loans is only 28 days. The average time now taken after the digitization is 1 day, right? And average time taken to process loans is 10 minutes for fintech startups, right? So we at Simandar Education, so we provide USCPA, USCMA training. This is a US chartered accountancy in India. And normally when my students kind of goes with some of the, so we have tied up with Neve Finance, we have tied up with Eduvance. So when I see them, this is a simple application for a student for a loan application, and they fill that loan application. Within 1 hour, 2 hours, the loan is getting disbursed to the students. So that is what we are talking about. So now the competition is really intense and fierce with fintechs coming up. The time taken to process the loans is very fast. And the due diligence is also very fast, because it's all technology driven. So you have the documents, they'll check the documents. Okay, the software will immediately analyze this parameters is met out or not. And that's all, the loan will be disbursed. So the turnaround time, if you see, it's only 1 to 10 minutes. I mean, you can just see how India have revolutionized themselves. The way the loans processes, it's much faster. The policies are much faster. PPF, opening an account of public provident fund, is much faster, right? So that have actually made our Indian banks also to notice it. And that's where you're seeing a lot of the Indian banks also processing it faster. So now if you see that fintech predications and trends in Indian banks. So now what all Indian banks have done, they have brought RPA bots. So if you see that when you're, a lot of the time people used to call banks, now there are automated bots in the website where you can interact with the bots and you can raise your issue or service ticket request, right? You have blockchain, which I've already spoken about, the land records, which I was discussing, right? And how blockchain could have been used in the banking system so that a lot of the future frauds can be actually reduced, right? Then we have about artificial intelligence and machine learning. So what AI is doing, it's analyzing. So what, when you go to YouTube or when you go to any of the shopping website and you see a lot of ads of SBI, Bank of Baroda, that is nothing but artificial intelligence, right? So they have analyzed your behavior, your consumer spending, your patterns and all. And according to that, they are actually checking out, okay, this person is a very shopaholic. So let us give them calls of bank loans, right? Hey, come on, do you want a bank loan or do you want this, that? Because they know that you're a spender. So you'd always go for a loan and overspend it. And that's where the analysis of artificial intelligence and machine learning have come into the picture. Then you have the biometric security systems, which are there. I mean, you have already noticed that in the banks these days, there are a lot of security systems where there is fingerprints and all those sort of things. Then there's an acceleration in finance inclusion. And then you have an open banking regulatory technology also when we discuss about, right? So it's all about to do with how you're able to transfer the money with a lot of related stuff. Now, what are the opportunities in Indian banks today? What we see, there's still a lot of technology which the banks can do when we compare it to other countries. I mean, there's so much of technology which can be used, and there's so much of things which are there, right? So then you have personalized services to clients with big data and fog computing, right? So today you have so much of data of the customers, and you can analyze that data and take a rational decisions, right? Then you have high level data security and better compliance with cloud based data, right? So today all your data security can be ensured, right? And then you have the cost effective financial products and services, which we have already explained in blockchain. Then you have higher efficient transactions, and again effective monitoring and regulatory reporting. So these are certain opportunities which we find in Indian banks. I would rather say I'd rather bet more on data analytics, because today so much of data is there, right? So in that data you can actually analyze what is going on with each and every customer, what is his credit rating, what is his capacity of earning. So all those things can be known through a data analytics, right? Okay, just a second, guys. Yep. So any doubts still here, everyone? Yes, guys. So any doubts still here?
I don't think they are having any doubts, so we can proceed further.
Yes. So if there are no doubts, so guys, now my question is, so whenever there are no doubts, I will counter question now to you all. Now, where all do you think, after now having some sort of basic knowledge after this session, right? So when I'm talking about opportunities in Indian banks, right, I have just discussed about 6 points. Where all do you think a technology can play a bigger role? Yes, anyone? Anything apart from the 6 things which I have highlighted, right? Enhanced digital banking experience. What do you think? What are the struggles of yours? So when you go to a bank, so I mean, it's technology is known through common problems of today, right? So now when I was discussing with on the purchase of land, so today when I want to purchase a property, I need to go through so many things, right? Property documents, papers, and through, if I just want to take a housing loan or a car loan, right, I have to submit so many things. Though we have spoken about the turnaround time, right, which are substantially reduced with the effective play of financial technology, do you actually see other problems also? Where do you think that a technology could play a bigger role, sir? And there also we have chances to automate, right? Yes, anyone who would like to contribute? Yes, we are not getting any answers in the chat window. Anyone? Okay, so if there are no answers, that means either you have understood that these are the only things where the technology can be used. right? So that's the reason I shouldn't have shown that PPT, so that I would have seen some of the answers which are coming up, right? So mota moti, I have covered everything, right? So if you see that enhanced digital banking experience today, how you use, how you transfer your funds, RTGS, IMPS, NEFT, all those sort of things which are coming up via mobile, via internet, right? Cost effective financial products, personalized services to clients with big data and fog computing. Today the banks are giving the customers the dashboard also, right, where you can use it. Some of the banks are also actually designing your financial plan as well, so where you need to spend around how many which all are the mutual funds, top recommendations, where you can invest your funds properly, insurance, term insurance. So these are all the allied services, or rather complementary services, the moment you open a bank account, right? So you have a bank relationship manager, which is also automated now through a system where he can actually himself, the technology itself can tell you that, hey Sripal, you know what, these are certain mutual funds, these are certain things, these are opening a PPF. So a typical a bot comes into the picture and he is trying to explain each and everything without any manual intervention. So you really don't need to go anywhere. All the videos are automatically recorded in the mobile. You just need to click it and see how the transactions are being executed. So these are certain opportunities in the Indian banks, what we see, right? So effective monitoring and regulatory reporting, higher efficient transactions, enhanced digital banking experience. So these are certain things. So what are the top trending risk what we have? So though the advantages are 90%, so you still have 10 to 15% risk. So what all are the risks? You might have the money laundering risk, right? So there's an increased money fraud and regulations which are yet to be improved. There's still security risk, right? The passwords are still could be accessed, but with blockchain that could reduce substantially, because a blockchain is immutable. It's a system which is very robust and secure. If you actually code the system, the one who codes that initial blockchain technology, the coding itself goes wrong, then the technology can become a big issue, right? So that's why you need to ensure that the coding is right. Then you have a technical risk, slow rate of technical adoption, and high risk of working on niche skills like blockchain, right? So what is happening is a lot of them are not aware on blockchain. The developers are still not there in India. That's why the risks are more, because the coding might be poor. The persons who are coding on Python language and all those sort of things, or on Java and all, the developers are very less. And that's where you might see that the technical adoption of these technologies are not so faster, right? Again, there is a regulation risk, like in cryptocurrency. We have seen RBI banning the cryptocurrencies and all. And again, this year they have allowed the cryptocurrencies. So there's a lot of regulations on Bitcoin and all other cryptocurrencies which are coming up. Then financial risk, non-effectiveness or robotic advisors emerged as a financial risk due to algorithmic failure, because of robots, though they can automate a lot of the things, but a decision making has to be by a person. You have to talk to a person, because someone can't communicate with technology all the time. So that can be a little bit of financial risk. I would not say 20 to 30%. I'd say 5% there could be a financial risk. And then again, reputation is lost due to less human interaction, because then you're not conversing, you're conversing completely with technology, and every company is at par, every bank is at par. So it's just that you need to select which bank has good technology, that's all. So that's where you might see that your reputation might go down because of the lot of technology adoption, because then the competition is really intense and fierce, right? So that's what is one of the things. So what are these risk mitigation strategies? Though we have this risk, so how can we overcome that? Establishing high level of security like data encryption, biometric, two-factor authorization. Today you see OTPs are coming to you, right? And again, they tell you to put last 5-digit, 6-digit number of your ATM or some card number and all, right? So that are a lot of the encryptions which the bank have brought into the picture whenever your money is getting transferred. And email also goes, OTP goes to the mobile, right? And also they ask you the card details as well. Not talking about the card details, but back of the card, what is that A, B, C, D things, and you'll need to punch in the numbers. So that is like having a high level of security. Then establishing fully integrated development services like QR codes, automatic scanners, where you can see that. Then you have data integration and data handling, as I've already discussed, that one-shot learning model that allow you to train on the machine learning systems on handling data, right? Then you have using UX, UI with two-factor authentication, with security and user-friendly experience, which we have already discussed. These are all the user-friendly platforms so that the customers doesn't get irritated with a lot of the security systems. Then again, you have complying with legal regulation, where legal consultants you can bring. The private regulation bodies are there, where you can work accordance with the government guidelines. Like we have seen, cryptocurrencies was banned 2 years back. Now they have been again allowed. So that's what we are seeing that in this system. Okay. So any questions now, guys? I'll take a pause now, and I'd rather put up now any questions for people.
Hello, sir. I had a question like, since
Yeah.
these technologies have been adopted from the Western countries, but we know that its implementation hasn't been the same. Like in India, if we see, like there is more than 50% cash economy. So how do you see people getting convinced and assured at the same time of not being frauded?
Okay. See, in a country like India, right, it's not easy to implement anything, right? It's very easy to tell the implementation is so difficult and all. But a country with such high population, so a lot of the things don't get implemented faster. But now we are seeing that the technology, you can just notice that, right? So whenever you want to see that someone have improved or not, you will always do a comparison. You see India 5 years back and India now, you have seen there is a tremendous adoption of technology, and there is still a huge massive I would say potential to grow more for our Indian banks, right? So if you see 5 years back, we weren't having Paytm, we were not doing any digital wallets and all those sort of things. You didn't had a lot of the, even if you see the interfaces of today, SBI, right, State Bank of India, if you open the banking login, and even if you see ICICI banks, the user interface has improved substantially, right? So still, I think I would not agree that still 50% people are using cash. But now with actually what have happened after the demonetization, the Corona thing have been absolutely bang on. Now with COVID, you can't let the people go out. You had a lockdown. Now people were using rather more banking transactions, because you were not getting ATM opened or anything. You were not able to go outside. So last year, if you see the statistics, the transactions in digital have increased, I mean, substantially. You see GST collections, right? We have hit a record GST collections in December, January. That's a clear indication that our economy is using so much of online transactions. I mean, how can you collect so much of GST without any online transactions? I mean, GST is something which is built on an online platform itself, right? That means the small retailers also now are having Paytm sticker now, right? So they are also using technology. There's, you just need to scan it, then you need to transfer the money, and your game is ended, right? Today you see Zomato and all these things. Previously we used to kind of not order. Now everything was on the click of a thing, right? So the collections of the taxes gives you a clear indication. The people in India have understood banking, digital banking very nicely. I would rather say that they have now using it more closely now. And with the rural areas also, I can agree with you that rural areas are still not ramping up. But now with the farmers and all, you see in rural areas, they are buying a lot of things, because last year during COVID time, I mean, who were the biggest investors in stock market? They were farmers, right? The rural area, rural population, the rural things which have grown, agriculture, there have been significant development, right? Because other industries were not performing. The only industries were what were people doing and sitting at home were only eating or rather taking medicines. The pharma industry and FMCG industry, I mean, they have grown like anything. And that's where we are seeing that this particular thing which we are talking about, that the country is still not adopting to online thing. I'd rather slightly disagree, not completely disagree. I'd rather slightly disagree that there have been a complete change in the way we are spending out 2 years back before COVID came, and now with COVID, and you are already seeing the impact now with our collections of taxes and all. Does it help, Saubhagya?
Yeah, thank you for the answer there, sir. I would like to add one more point to the question. Like, as you mentioned that people in rural areas are still reluctant. So adding on to that, like if suppose people are trusting the technology, like they are trusting the digital banking services, but still, since they are unaware about how to use it, there are chances that someone might do the fraud because as they are not much into the technology. So how do you see India tackling that problem?
Okay, so what is happening is, if you might hear about Reliance, right? Reliance Geo attracted Google, Facebook investment. Are you guys all aware that Facebook have invested in Reliance, Microsoft have invested in Reliance, Google have invested in Reliance? So Reliance, what Reliance is having an idea is, that's what Amazon couldn't do, right? In their market, in e-commerce. So what Reliance is trying to do is, it's a very good thing, right? So they have integrated with Facebook. So what they are telling farmers is, you just do a Facebook post. You just do it, because Facebook will slowly be integrated, because you have a WhatsApp, right? Now you can make the payment via WhatsApp. So what does a farmer needs? What the Reliance is doing, they're going to door to rural areas. They're capturing that and they're educating them to just install an application in the mobile. You just do a Facebook post. Hey, I have produced this much tons. Please come in, and you put it for sale. People will buy directly on Facebook. People will buy directly on WhatsApp. There's an idea why Reliance have attracted that investment, because they know, and why Facebook is coming to India. I mean, because there's a reason that it's a huge potential. It's not a market where people are like, "Arey, they'll not adopt this." Rather, they're taking it very positively, that they are the people who will adopt it more faster. And that's why you are seeing that banks, Reliance have applied to RBI also for banking license. I think you might be aware or not. So there are the bank, RBI have given permissions for a lot of the private company, for a lot of the listed companies also to open up banks, right? And that was one of the reason why, if you see that Reliance, I'll not be surprised if Reliance comes out with a bank in next 2-3 years, with how they are integrating the farmers and all via Facebook and WhatsApp, and you can immediately transfer that. The money, you just do a posting on Facebook and you transfer the money. So these are very easy things for a company like Reliance, or a private listed company, to kind of talk about all these things and educate the farmers. If the government doesn't do, I think the listed companies are already in the picture to educate and tap that market. And Amazon was not able to do, because the problem with Amazon is they don't have mobile network. Reliance has mobile network also, so they can provide internet to everyone at a very cheaper cost. So if you see that Google have launched free Wi-Fi at a lot of railway stations, right? So now Google have invested in Reliance. Don't you think so that Google will give the internet? So what is stopping the farmers or the rural areas, right? Not just farmers. What is stopping the rural areas from adopting the internet? Because of its cost. If Reliance gives free, right, and if it comes up with a plan that this mobile internet, because they have the mobile internet, they have a lot of towers, right? They have already, you are seeing Vodafone is out of the picture in telecom today. To implement any new technology, you need a mobile internet. Gone are those days where people used to use Wi-Fi and all those things. You might use it in at home and all, but majorly people are interacting on mobile itself, right? So what I'm telling is, tomorrow Reliance can be a biggest disruptor. I mean, please don't quote me that Sripal Jain have said that Reliance is coming out, but I'm telling that they can be a big disruptor, because they have technology also with them. They have mobile network also with them. They just need to provide internet to the rural areas, so that they can come into the system and sell, buy anything. It's a win-win for farmers. It's a win-win for rural areas. It's a win-win for entire country, because they are able to sell a lot of things. Why would you want an Amazon to earn like anything when your own Indian company can do that, right? So I mean, you can well connect, and on e-commerce platform they can buy anything, they can sell anything. And that's the reason why you might see Reliance coming in news with retail outlets. I mean, they were trying to buy, if you see the future retail, Kishore Biyanis, right? Big Bazaar, Brand Factory and all. Are you guys aware of that? And Amazon had to put a case to Reliance, because that was a big market, right? If future retail have come under the ownership of Reliance, I mean, then you are capturing the entire market itself. You have Big Bazaar, you have Brand Factory, you have everything. And Amazon didn't like that, because Amazon had only 1% stake. Still, they're very frightened. It went to Singapore, and you have some great lawyers in India like Harish Salve, who is, and I mean, it's literally impossible to beat that guy, right? And that's the reason why Amazon got a defeat at there, and then they went to Singapore and lost the arbitration case, actually. Amazon, and they're not liking it, because the moment Facebook and Google have invested, Why do they invest, guys? You tell me why a big company will invest? Because they want the market size. You can grow only when there's a huge market. So the first thing what they said to Reliance was to capture the retail audience. How do you capture a retail audience? You capture future retail, right? Big Bazaar, Brand Factory, and all the shopping malls. And now you have seen Just Dial also being acquired by Reliance. So there is a huge data which have come to Reliance. There's so much of things which are wrapping up. I'm just taking one example just to explain you how the companies are now revolutionizing and they are inculcating that technology. If government doesn't do, the companies will definitely do, because there's a huge market potential to tap. So that's an opportunity for me. That's not a risk or reluctance for me. That's an opportunity for me to tap the areas where our Indian people are not able to use the technology. Does it make sense, Amagi?
Yeah, that was such a profound answer. Thank you so much, sir, for answering.
My pleasure. Any questions, guys? I want you to ask questions. So this session, I definitely am telling you, I'm not come to kind of just speak up the PPTs. The moment I started the session, I wanted to see the knowledge levels of the students, because you must understand that this is a very crucial 50 minutes of your life, and I don't want to destroy it, right? I want to ensure that this 50 minutes after you finish off this session, you always remember that we have learned a lot about this, right? We have learned about blockchain. We have learned about how the fintech revolution is, right? How the networking is done, right? What are the companies thinking? Just by a GST collection, you can know how is your country performing, right? So these are certain things which I want students to know. I mean, how many of them are aware of fiscal deficit? How many of them are aware of what is going out? Why is government printing money? What is your objective of doing that, right? And these are very, very important. Once you understand that, you will understand why the technology plays such an important role, because your technology can be implemented only when you understand the root causes. And that's where we see that India have a substantial market, right, for Blossom, and already we are doing really good. I mean, the way Indian banks are functioning today, there are hardly any NPAs. If you see, guys, why it is happening up? Because most of the loans are going to retail, right? Today, housing loans are more, car loans are more, because what have happened due to COVID is people are purchasing cars more. They want their private vehicles. So car loans have gone up substantially. Banking sector are performing like anything since last 1.5 years. And that's why you might see the stocks of banks like SBI, ICICI Bank, HDFC, they are all at the new highs. Because what is happening is people are taking cars, people are taking houses, because work from home is there. Everyone want their big home, right? And they want to have their own home because they want to have a good facility to sit and to study, right? So people are purchasing their own house. So you are seeing an upside in housing activity. Because housing is going up, you're seeing painting business is going up, because in order to build a house, you need a painting also. You see Asian Paint stock going up. So that's where a lot of these things are very much interconnected, right? And I am seeing that banks not having any NPAs. The only reason why I see that is because now they are not lending to corporates more, right? They are lending to retailers. They are giving car loans more. They are giving housing loans more, and there is very less percentage of default on those things. You hardly miss any EMIs, housing loan EMIs and all, right? So that's why you are seeing the bank's profitability have increased. And why it have been increased? How is a customer attracted? Through technology. Because end of the day, all banks have understood in order to reduce their NPAs, they have to attack the customers. They have to give the best service to customers. You can give best service only when you have a robust technology. When you understand the technology, when you know the credit rating system, you see how is the credit rating, how is the borrowing capacity of that consumer, and then lend them. These are all certain things which are very, very important apart from the technology, which you guys must know that what is the focus of Indian banks right now. The focus is completely on retailers, on retail market. When I tell retail market, guys, it is you, me, and others. You taking a loan and going abroad, right? Or you taking a car loan, or you taking a housing loan. So these are certain things which now Indian banks are, and insurance. Again, that's a very, very big important thing now with COVID and all. Everyone is buying health insurance, right? Everyone is buying life insurance. So these are all the policies which they are taking, and they need a very robust technology. If you take 20-30 days to approve a LIC or a health insurance and all those sort of things, I mean, what is this going on? And that's why you might see LIC also coming up with a bank, right? So these are certain things which are going on, right? Yes, any doubts, anything, any questions which you want to ask? So I'm still there, guys.
I think there are no more questions. Nishkarsh,
Yes, ma'am.
are there any questions with you?
Ma'am, I just got one response that I think Sir's screen is not visible. So if he could reshare his screen, it will be better.
Okay.
The
No,
presentation.
actually the
is not
PPT is done.
visible.
So the PPT is done actually. There's nothing to do on the PPT.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So you can continue, Nishkarsh, whatever question you are having, you can raise that. And
Yes,
after
I mean,
we close the session.
I understand. So we had a few questions, sir. I'll just ask them right now. So I think most of the students, the questions are inspired by the fact that we know that you are a great edupreneur and you were, awarded accordingly. So some of the few questions that were raised were, what are the key things that you would like to tell us about being a successful edupreneur? And I think we could start by you defining what an edupreneur actually means.
Okay. So for me, being an entrepreneur, right? So this is a very personal question, but I will connect how an entrepreneur and entrepreneurs are. So it is morning 4 o'clock at US, and I woke up today to give a session, right? So that is how once you start something on your own, that's how much passion you need to have to educate people, right? So I slept at 1 o'clock yesterday, and I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning today, right? So I run a Simandar Education Institute. So we are tied up with Deloitte, EY, PwC, Microsoft, Accenture, right? Invesco. So I mean, each and every CFO today in the country today is well connected with us, because my wife herself is also a chartered accountant, and I'm also a chartered accountant, and I feel that if a husband and wife works together, anyways, the organization actually blossoms, right? So because you have a one mindset, right? Someone is there to kind of support you, right? So apart from that, I think these are certain things. What we have done differently at our education institute is to provide everything to a student where he can understand what is missing today, right? So today's student lacks research, right? Today's students lack the much needed knowledge which is required. And that's where I think as an entrepreneur, our objective is to educate the people about investing. Now you see, when I'm in US, right? So I see that people at the age of 10 or 11 investing in stock market. I mean, if you see Warren Buffett investing at the age of 10, I mean, still in a country like India, we're still not educated about investments. Had we invested early age, we started at the age of 12 or 13, we would have grown like anything, we would have compounded more, right? And that's where I think the education is, right? Apart from that, we have been actually talking a lot about the US chartered accountancy, which we are training about. Is If you see the Indian chartered accountancy, for an example, takes 3 years or 4 years. We run a US chartered accountancy which takes 7 months or 8 months, and we place them again at 8 lakhs, 7 lakhs packages, right? In all these US based companies. So why are we doing that? Because I, as an entrepreneur, identified an opportunity that there are a lot of US companies which are operating in India today. You tell me how many US companies we have. Accenture, we are tied up with Cognizant, Deloitte, EY, Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, right? You had so many companies here: Standard Chartered, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. So hardly out of 100 companies, 80 companies now are in foreign companies. They want someone who have a foreign qualification here, who knows about the accounting standard. Yes, we might not be teaching the Indian education. We might be teaching the foreign education. End of the day, our country needs to get jobs. That was my vision. And that's where we have been placing a lot of these students. And any edupreneur or any entrepreneur, the worst thing what he needs to understand is what is the society issues he's addressing. For me, the issue which I wanted to address was the placements, to employ people, to place the students. And that's where we have been doing successfully in our courses here at Simandar Education. And the right team I took, I had a lot of female employees in my team. And I think females are very good people to understand, because they are the ones who think about others first, then themselves. So there's a reason why we hire a lot of female workforce at Simandar. Nothing against Rachit, Nishkar, Saubhagya, or any of the people who are there, but there's a reason why we had a lot of female team. Today, all my career counselors are all females because their advisors are neutral. They are very dedicated. They come on time. They go on time. So not that guys don't do that, but there's a reason why I found a success model in that. I think that they have been doing really good. And I wanted the counselors to be with a female workforce because they are the ones who understand that. Like, just like our mom, right? She understands us very nicely than our dad. So there's a reason why it is. And that's the idea which I took it up. And we had counselors a lot in Simandar, which are all female counselors. And today we have over 3,500 students, right? In Simandar education. And we are one of the top training institute for US CPA, US CMA, right? IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards, enroll agent, which is US tax training. So today, a lot of the corporates call us to just give them the training. So whomever we are training today are all chartered accountants, or all CA pursuing students, or all BCom students, MBA students, right? So that's how I think as an entrepreneur, my advice would be the people who want to open up something on their own should identify what is the issue, what is the root cause first, right? Should understand that you will need to tremendously work hard. You need to struggle a lot. It's very easy to get on a resume tied up with Microsoft, EY, teaching at Indian Railways, right? And getting an entrepreneur award. This looks very easy for everyone. But the real struggle happens when there's so many people and how you manage those people. There's so many quarrels within the team management, right? So these are a lot of things which you learn, people skills, right? If you tell something to your employee, he might leave the company, right? These are certain things. Yesterday you were best of friends. Immediately today, what is happening in a country like India or everywhere, it takes seconds for a relationship to break. You said something to that person and he breaks it off. The same corporate culture is happening even in the companies. So you need to be very soft to your employees. So that are all the skills you will learn. It's just not about the customer. It's just about how you manage your employees is very, very important. Gone are those days where you just used to yell at their employees and your work will be done. No, it will not work in India. You need to be very, very polite. You need to be very, very patient. Now, I have seen in the session, there's still 17, 18 people who are still there at the end of the session, right? So, I mean, still there are a lot of patience among the people to know, yes, this guy is making sense, what he's talking. So, let us listen at the end, what is happening up. I might have well surpassed the time, but still the people are still curious to understand what is something you have added value that there's still people living. So, that is one success as an entrepreneur. I measure my things, right? When I'm doing something, how satisfied that person is, how happy that person is, and how much value I've added to him. If I'm not adding any value, I don't think so your venture will ever be successful. And that's the first stepping stone in order to become a good entrepreneur or a good entrepreneur, right? These are certain things which you need to inculcate. And yes, early morning you have to wake up, or late night you have to work hard. You need to work 17 hours. You need to work. And there's nothing like 3 hours, 4 hours. The success is never built in a day. It takes a lot of period of time, right? And that's where students like, are 3 ghante so jayenge, like I don't know how many people are on TVs and all. I have hardly seen TV like since last 3-4 years. So once you are an entrepreneur, you hardly get time either for your family, either for this. But once it kind of scales up and you are in a good zone, now you can make out time, right? The initial struggle is something which is you'll need to be up for it. And I think today is good that someone have raised that thing. I think I can tell someone who want to open up their own venture, you need to be really mentally be prepared that you should have a great idea to support the society, and you should have a tremendous willpower and perseverance, right? That you'll work hard like 18 hours. You'd never check your timings when you're passionate. So do something which you really love. I really love teaching. So that's why I took teaching as my thing, right? And that's why I don't notice the time, night 4 o'clock, morning 11 o'clock. I really don't see the time when I'm doing anything, because that is the thing I love. So if you don't do things which you love, you'll always kind of, beat yourself that why did you select this? So rather you don't do it and you keep quiet and sit at home than doing something which is of no interest to you. And you can do only things which are only interested for you, then only your entire, I would say, a willpower or a good things are known. And you don't need to tell that you are passionate and all. The people themselves will understand what is going on, what is he doing. They'll automatically relate with it. And one more thing I would say, that have a good LinkedIn account. I have not seen many of them How many of them are aware? I mean, I've seen Seema ma'am, I found her on LinkedIn. Networking is such an important thing, right? She found me on LinkedIn. Oh, okay, he's the right person who can mentor the students, and she reached out to me. This is how networking builds, right? So you need to have good networking abilities, good networking skills, good communication skills. It's just not about reading a book and a pen and getting a degree. I mean, I'm telling you, the competition is so much in India. I'm telling you, it will not work like that. Companies want to see what is that extra thing he has. Does he know his LinkedIn? Does he know networking? Is he sharing some blog or articles? Do you have any of the habits where you can share some blogs, tag us, tag someone else? And that's how you attract people to your own initiative also. Tomorrow, if you want to start something on your own, these are certain things, right? These are your 10 things which you need to do to get it right. I hope I'm not exceeding the time. So that's it from my end, at least.
Yeah, so keeping that in mind, we just have one more question. So I think it's another in-depth question. So let me rephrase this. So what this question is trying to ask, once you start your own thing, once you start your own organization or company, how do you get the first 10,000 customers?
So first 10,000 customers comes when you visit the customer's place itself. So you should behave in a manner, I mean, you should do everything. You should be, I would say, shameless in marketing and selling. That's what I would say, not from the education sector perspective, because I've never marketed my teaching, because my teaching itself is a marketing in itself, right? I mean, the word of mouth is very important. So first customer, you get it, you tell, hey, did you find a service? Did you notice when you visit a new hotel? I mean, whenever a new hotel opens, they are so polite to you. The first two customers, did you like our food? Did you do this? Can you refer? Can you share feedback? And you can use fintech in that also. You use a referral code. You tell that one student, are you very happy? Okay, now refer us. You'll get 2,000, 3,000. That one student will bring two will bring four will bring 10. It's like Jai Ho movie, right? It's not some comedy actually. Jai Ho is Salman Khan's movie. That's a clear case of referral. आप एक को बोलो तीन को बोलेंगे वो लोग, right? So that is what it is. So first 10,000 customers I will not target also. I'll only target first 10 customers. That 10 has an ability to bring 10,000. So after that 1,000 customers also, did you change your ways is very important. You should not lose your quality even when you scale up. See, Amazon, company like Amazon is growing still at a rate of 30%, being $1 billion company. I mean, how can $1 billion company grow at a rate of 30%? I can understand a startup growing at 20%, 30% because they're a startup, so they want more customers. But a mature company like Amazon having $1 billion revenue, still growing at 30% is completely out of my equation. When I was listening to Bezos interview, Jeff Bezos, he said, our entire focus is on customer. We are obsessed with customer. We want them to have the best service. So in US also, when I come to US, right? So I'm in New York currently, and I tell you, they are in US and in India, I would say in other countries, why are US very good, right? They have a very, very good customer care support, right? So they are really, really good with their customer care things. So if you see the backend, the quality, there's very, very good backend services which is being performed. And that's why you see a lot of managers coming up from US, because they are very good in managing, right? And that's why they are good in managing, because they want to ensure that the product is of utmost quality. So their entire, each and every complaint is taken care. Today, if you eat any pizzas and all, right, the pizza in US, if the pizza is not good, they'll give you a new pizza. They straight away tell, hey, this pizza is not good, I want to replace it. They immediately replace. I mean, they'll take it to a personal level. That's how customers are for them. So customers are God. It just doesn't mean the line. It actually means that you need to do it, right? And that's what we at Simandar Education, at least I am ensuring that I should provide the best quality to my students. So when they are joined with Simandar, you won't believe. I mean, you guys are really, really fortunate that you have Seema Joshi, like a faculty who's there, who's organizing this, who's finding out. I don't know. I am a very small person, but I've seen her organizing so many sessions. Really lucky people, right? So there should be some mentor attached in your life if you want to grow. And these are certain our mentors whom you could take up certain lessons, and you could ask your career advisors. Today, we don't have any mentors also, right? So that's where, to build a customer base, you need to have a very strong mentor. You need to ensure that you're providing a very good quality. You need to ensure the referrals are in place. And people will refer only them who are very good in quality. Why will a word of mouth work for a person who's not good in quality? You might tell, hey Sripal, you know what, Byju's came and he's doing so much of marketing. But tell me honestly, guys, how many of them talks good about Byju's? Let us ask ourselves. So many of the complaints, so many of the escalations comes on LinkedIn and everywhere and all, because people, word of mouth is completely different thing. That's a different class altogether. And it not only works in education industry, it works across everywhere, right? And that's where Ola, Uber have come. When they come out, they launched an app, they gave a free ride. If you guys are aware, right? Are you aware of that? You came with a free ride. They gave some freebies and all. So you can use that. So you can give a freebies and all. Hey, you know what? You try this. And they get attracted to your application. They get attracted to your service. And then they use it and then they recommend to a lot of people. And you do need to be really patient. You can't become a millionaire in one day, right? It takes a lot of time. So you need to be really patient and understand the pain. In that patience, you won't even believe. In Simandar today, we are a team of around 70 to 75 employees, right? But to get that cleaner also, I had to go to Reliance retail showroom and get that guy. A cleaner also never used to come to a startup because he thinks that I am getting in Reliance showroom. Why should I work for this startup? He's getting 20,000 per month. Just imagine today, all the security guards, they are having 20 to 25,000 to hire them. Also, it takes a certain period of time. I mean, it's not easy to convince employees. You think that people will join your team. It's not at all easy to find out right talent. In itself is a big challenge. You should have asked me question, Sripal, how do we kind of find right talent? Not how do we add customers. First, you need to build a good team. That good team brings the talent. And that's how it is. I hope I'm making sense, right? So the question should be that how do I add good people in my team? Then we will talk about customers and all later, because the team is very important. The problem in India is people think people are very easygoing. You can do whatever you want. You can get people so easily in India. It never happens like that. That's why a lot of the startups have failed. They are never successful because they have never respected the people. They've never respected their timings. They have never respected a lot of things like that. And there's a reason why they fail. And there's a reason why in Simandar, I just tell about personal stuff. So my brother is actually one of the biggest mentors here, right? Along with me. My wife is a chartered accountant. He is an electronic engineer working with Microsoft. My sister-in-law is working with Microsoft. My wife is chartered accountant. So we four are all educated family, and that's why we thought we should run an education institute, right? And my brother handles the people managerial skills, and I handle the entire stuff of teaching and all, because I understood that is one very, very important thing. Previously, when we started Simandar, we used to tell everyone to work 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours. When we came in back, he understood that US culture is that you need to ensure 6 o'clock means 6 o'clock. That's all. You need to close down your laptops. That's it. That work culture has to come up. And Zerodha was the one who took up. I don't know how many people know about Zerodha. It's a very big brokerage company in India today. If you see in the revenue terms, it's the biggest brokerage business today. And they have said to all their employees, no working after 6 o'clock. There's a reason why they're adopting to a flexible work culture, because everything rotates around the people. If your people are good, you become a good company. If your people are bad, even though you might be a good person, you might be very good in teaching, you might be a very good influencer, edupreneur, all these awards are of no use when your people are not good. I hope that makes sense, Nishkash. Good that I could answer that.
Yeah, we're all enriched, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sripal, for that exceptionally insightful and informative talk. I, for one, genuinely appreciate the fact that you were able to carve out time for us to share your journey, especially because of the time difference thing. And mostly, thank you for addressing all the doubts we had. Before we end this session, just a quick request. Could you share your LinkedIn ID and email address so that students are able to connect with you somehow?
Okay, so there's nothing more ID, guys. So it's just LinkedIn Sripal Jain. That's all. Right. So my name is there. You just type there Sripal Jain, CA. I mean, I have a lot of connections on LinkedIn. It's as good as I'm an influencer there. So my name should appear first. I don't know if it doesn't appear, it's not a problem, but it
Yes.
may appear, I would say, if you just type Sripal Jain there. So just the name, full name, if you type on LinkedIn, and I think you can find me there. And we can
I
definitely,
Yeah.
if you have any offline advisors or any mentoring, I'm definitely happy to help anyone in whatever capacity possible.
Thank you so much for that. So once again, thank you so much everyone for joining, and a happy Independence Day to everyone. So with that, we conclude today's talk.
Thank you so much, Imam, and thank you.